Okay, everyone, welcome. We're plugged in. Give me 1 second. Okay, everybody, we are holding over here. Welcome to our special class on Dvar Malchus. We're learning the unbelievable talk that the Rebbe gave, and it was printed in Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. The Sikha is actually a combination from a Sikha in Parshas Noach Tafshem Mem Zayin, and Shabbos Parshas Pinchas, and Chav Ches Sivan Tafshem Nun Aleph. The Rebbe had it printed during Nun Aleph or the beginning of Nun Beis. I'm not exactly sure when it was actually given out. Okay. We are holding in, hold it over here. Oh, my speakerphone wasn't on, maybe you didn't hear so well. Here I am, okay. So we are holding on page 202. That's in the middle of Perek Hey. Just to summarize, just a quick thing, while everybody's busy with the mezuzah situation, crisis. Let's bring Mashiach while everybody's tumbling, and we'll fix the problems. The Shpola Zayda said, I just read this recently, that when Mashiach will come, the spirit of impurity will be blown away from the entire world. Ruach HaTomer Avim in Haaretz, so it says in the pasuk, spirit of impurity will be pushed away from the entire world, and at the very end of the world, we will post a mezuzah. What does that mean? At your end of your house, at the entrance of the house is holy. And the mezuzah is there to be a shomer. Shomer of what? Of bad stuff, including spiritual bad stuff. So you put the mezuzah there. Now, since the whole world becomes holy, so a mezuzah will be fixed at the very, very end of the world, and then the klipa or whatever exists lower or out or whatever cannot come in, or maybe doesn't exist anymore. Just that means that this entire territory is Kodesh Lashem, is holy to the Eibishter. That's the content of what we're learning over here, about getting that very last mezuzah fixed on the very end of the world, because as we're learning in the earlier things over here, we're talking about making the entire world Eretz Yisroel. Eretz Yisroel, Yerushalayim, the Beis HaMikdash. How does it all work? So let me do a brief review. In the earlier two classes that we learned the concept that during the time of Galus, we also have a Beis HaMikdash, and that all shuls are Beis HaMikdashes. But then he explained that within shuls, there is different levels of Beis HaMikdashes with the shuls, and like the Gemara says, that Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, that is the main Mikdash. It's an argument between Rabbi Yitzchak, I think, and Rabbi Nachman. No, Rabbi Yitzchak and Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yitzchak says it's all the Bate Knesiyos. Rabbi Lazar says it's Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. So we have the concept that every shul is a Mikdash Ma'at. Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is, and the Rebbe says they're not arguing. Everybody agrees that every shul or yeshiva, a place of Torah study or a place where people come to daven, they're all Beis HaMikdash, but the highest level of that is the house of Rabeinu Shebebavel. And to appreciate that further, he explained the idea that the Shekhinah dwells with the Jewish people in Galus, and he brings a Gemara where the Gemara says, primary resident, where is the Shekhinah? And the Gemara says, points to two shuls in Bavel. One in Hutzal and one was called Shafi Yosef, two shuls. And that's the primary place where the Shekhinah dwells. So, since the Shekhinah dwells in those shuls, primarily, and he explained, he brought from the Gemara says only one of them. It's not like the Shekhinah, the main Shekhinah dwells in one place. So it makes only sense that if the main Shekhinah dwells only one place, so there's one place that's a main Beis HaMikdash, because where the Shekhinah dwells, that's the place that's Beis HaMikdash. So where does the Shekhinah dwell? In the Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel more than anywhere else. And he explained that this Mila, this quality that the Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel has, is not only negay in the time of Gullus, that this is the main place where the Shekhinah dwells. That's huge. But it's not only applicable or important, significant for the time of exile, but it's actually significant also for when Mashiach will come. Because we know when Mashiach will come, if it brought from the Marsha, all the shuls of across the diaspora will be relocated to Eretz Yisrael. And from the Marsha, he brings that it's not stam that it's going to be relocated to Eretz Yisrael, actually be attached to the Beis HaMikdash. And for that reason, that's the meaning why we say that the Beis HaMikdash will expand over the whole Yerushalayim, because if you have all the shuls from across the world attaching itself to the Beis HaMikdash, we can understand that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be super huge, like the whole city of Yerushalayim. Okay, that's the idea. Now, if we say that in Batei, in shuls themselves, there are more special shuls through the diaspora, and what are they? There's always one shul, one place, which is that Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, the house of Rabeinu, whoever Rabeinu is, the Nasi of the generation. That's the Rabeinu, the main leader of the Jewish people, and his shul is on a higher level of Beis HaMikdash. What does that mean? That his shul is primary in attaching itself to the Beis HaMikdash, and other shuls are secondary to that shul, meaning they, through that shul being attached to the Beis HaMikdash, they become attached to the Beis HaMikdash. So it's almost like a link. They link up with this shul and they get attached to the Beis HaMikdash. All right. Amazing information. Okay. Then he goes, and it's If Dalet. He adds a much wilder idea, unbelievable idea, and that is that since once we say that this shul and all the other shuls, and via this shul all shuls will attach to the Beis HaMikdash, so we can take it one step further, that when the Beis HaMikdash Shalasid is really going to come down min hashamayim, and either it's going to be a complete structure coming down from heaven, or, as we explained in other places, there is a Beis HaMikdash built down here, and within it is enclosed the Beis HaMikdash coming down from heaven. But not as we usually think, that enclosement and that descent of the future Beis HaMikdash is going to happen in Yerushalayim. The Rebbe says in Siv Dalet, a chiddush that has never been said in all scholarly work for the Jewish people, that no, the Beis HaMikdash is going to actually come down in Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, the main Mikdash Ma'at of the Jewish people, of the Golos Beis HaMikdash, and from there it's going to go to Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because the way Mashiach comes is not that suddenly the Shekhinah appears in Yerushalayim and then all the Jewish people are called from the diaspora. That's not what's going to happen. The Shekhinah actually joins the Jewish people in the Exodus. So whatever that time is going to come, hopefully tonight, when we're all going to pack our bags and we're all going to go to Eretz Yisrael, we're not going ourselves. The Shekhinah is coming along with us. That means that till a moment before the redemption and at the moment of the redemption, the Shekhinah is with us. And she transitions, the Shekhinah, I'm referring to it in feminine because Shekhinah is feminine, she transitions from being in Golos to being in a state of Geula, which means from being enslaved, domineered, so to speak, to being dominating. So she suddenly, during the time of Golos, she has Geula. So she reveals herself in her glory. As she reveals herself in her glory, her nest, which is the place that she dwells in. And where is her nest? In the Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. So that nest also has to be equivalent to her manifestation of Gilui Shechina, is Galus of Shechina. So the nest has to be upgraded immediately. And what is that? The Beis HaMikdash Dilo Asa, the future Beis HaMikdash, is now facilitating the Shechina. And in that state, we all go back. So when we say we're going back together with the Beis HaMikdash to Yerushalayim, which actually fits with what we learned also. I didn't mention it tonight, the inyan of that special shul that was called, in Bavel, it was called Shafi Yosef. The meaning of Shafi Yosef is that originally when Gullus happened, the Jews went to Gullus, the Shechina goes to Gullus, the Beis HaMikdash itself, Shaf, it floated or was uprooted and relocated with the Jewish people. Obviously not the physical Beis HaMikdash, but the spiritual Beis HaMikdash went along with the Jewish people. And then it's coming back. This is unbelievable. So we have a whole new understanding of how the Geula is going to happen. Okay. Then we also learned that's the meaning also, if you look clearly in the Rambam, when it could be hinted to in the words when it says Yivne Beis HaMikdash b'makayimai, that Mashiach will build the Beis HaMikdash in its place. He asks the question, why does it have to say in its place? Of course everybody knows it's going to be built in Yerushalayim. But the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe says, the meaning of b'makayimai means in the place where Mashiach is. Mashiach at the moment of the Geula is not in Eretz Yisrael, not b'makayimai over there. He's b'makayimai with the Jewish people in Gullus. So in that place, he builds a Migdash which facilitates the greater Beis HaMikdash. As we learned last week, based on this, the Rebbe says an amazing thing. It will make sense that it says that Mashiach stands on the roof of the Beis HaMikdash and tells the Jewish people, "Gias Mangulaschem." It must be an announcement that he's doing during the time of Gullus. That the time of redemption has arrived. If he's making that announcement on the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, who needs the announcement if we have already a third Beis HaMikdash on the Temple Mount? Must be that we're talking about this Beis HaMikdash, Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, and over there Mashiach stands. And the reason why it says on the roof doesn't mean that he's standing literally on the roof, to hint to that we're dealing with the Beis HaMikdash that's not Kodesh, because the roof of the Beis HaMikdash, the Gagim were not Niskachu, that we're dealing with a Beis HaMikdash that doesn't have Kedushas Beis HaMikdash, because we're dealing with an Eretz Yisrael. Okay. And then we learned Sifhei, and now we're going to continue, but I'm just going to finish this last thing. The Rebbe said, now the real Maila of Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is not just because the Shechina needs a headquarters, but it's connected particularly that it is Rabeinu. And here is something so beautiful. Why is the Shechina in exile? It's because we're in exile. Actually, the Gemara uses the words Kama Chaviv in Yisroel. How much are the Yidden are so precious? So because of the Chavivos of Yidden are so precious, the Shechina joins with the Jewish people in their preciousness. Because the Jewish people are so precious, the Shechina can't part from them. Now, if that's the case, so we can understand why the Shechina goes to Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. Because in every shul, there is only some Jews, or one particular community. Right? Communities, different communities have their own shuls. So there's a gathering of Jews, but not all Jews. Individual Jews gather in each shul. So we can understand more Jews, more Shechina. As he brings, I didn't learn it last week, but he brings 48, Na'ara 48 over here on page 201. Shamati, he brings from the Alter Rebbe that says in Tanya, Shamati mirabo Yisai, I heard from my teachers, if one a malach would stand amongst 10 Jews, even if they're not speaking words of Torah, the malach would start shaking in dread and in fear from the Shechina that dwells upon the Jewish people. So wherever there's 10 Jews, the Shechina is. Now, is there a place where and that's the reason why the Beis HaMikdash is much holier than other shuls. I mean, that's one of the reasons. Other shuls only have some Jews coming there, but the Beis HaMikdash has all the Yidden coming to the Beis HaMikdash. It wasn't, Nusach Ashkenaz or Nusach Sfard or Nusach Yemen or Nusach Ari. It was in the Beis HaMikdash. You had to find every kind of siddur. It's like by the Kaisel Hamaravi. You ever try to find a siddur by the Kaisel? You're looking for a particular siddur. Every siddur is there because you're dealing with everybody coming there. Beis HaMikdash is public property for all the Jews, and all Jews come there. And that's why the central Shechina dwells there. But in Golus, it's like pieces of the Shechina, like sparks of the Shechina, whatever that means. I'm not going to say the words nitzutzi, sparks, the Rebbe doesn't use that, but it's a chelik of the Shechina is nizgala in every shul. But he says the Nasi, since the Nasi who are koil, the Nasi is one tzaddik, one person who includes all the neshamas of all the Jewish people, so he's the entire generation. So therefore, since this shul is his shul, so it's as if all the Jewish people are there, and that's why the central Shechina is in that place. That's what we were holding. V'yesh loymar, we can say, Shebeis shel nasi hador, the house, I'm talking the second paragraph, page 202, the house of the nasi of Dvar, shekoidel kol hador, who includes the whole generation, who al derech ubedigmas tail piyos. He's similar to the idea of tail piyos. Tail, shekol piyos poinim. Boy, a mound that all mouths turn to that place. In the Beis HaMikdash, one of the things Beis HaMikdash is called is tail piyos. We say it it's probably a pasuk, but I know it's from more familiar with in Hishanis during Sukkot when we go around the bima. I think one of the Hishanis is Hishana tail piyos. So tail means a mound. Beis HaMikdash is a mountain. Piyos, where all mouths of the entire world turn, because we know when we all daven, no matter where Jews are davening, we daven towards the Beis HaMikdash, towards Yerushalayim. All mouths are turning. And the Rebbe says an amazing thing. Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is also a place where all mouths turn to, because people seek the blessings and the counsel of the Tzaddik Hador, of the Nasi of the generation. So therefore, so in a sense, it has that same name like the Beis HaMikdash. It's called Tel Piyos. I mean, the Rebbe doesn't explicitly say it. He says that the Beis Shel Nasi Hador, which includes the whole Dvar, is similar to Tel Piyos. It's a Tel Shekol Piyos Painim. Is it because all the mouths are inside the Nasi, automatically, because he's koidel all their neshamas, or is it because everybody turns to him for help? I'm not exactly sure, but okay. Va'oid ve'ikr. Ma'ilus beis Rabeinu Shebebavel b'negei liyogul. Now, the main and primary thing, it's not just the quality of Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. This is a quality that we learned till now, is the Ma'ila of Beis Rabeinu, which goes through all of history. For example, if we're going to say that Rabeinu Shebebavel was the Rambam during his period of time, and Rashi during his period of time, and so on and so forth, we're going to go look through history, and let's say the Rabbi Yosef Kaira, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, or the Arizal, whoever, if you're looking on a more mystical level, or a more Paisek, Nigla Digga level, whatever it is, of their generations. So this is, during the time of Galus, in the darkness of Galus, there is one central location, which is the main Shechina, and all the Jews, because this is a tzaddik, this is the Nasi Hadar that includes the whole generation. But Be'ikri says, why? It says, Rabeinu Nasi Hadar. When we say Rabeinu, who is the Rebbe of the generation, the leader of the generation, Hu Gama Mashiach Go'alan Shel Yisroel. He's also the Mashiach. He's the Redeemer of the Jewish Shebedar of the generation. Or there's a concept called Mashiach Shebedar. What's the concept of Mashiach Shebedar? Since Mashiach has to be able to come at a drop of a hat, since if Jewish people do tshuva, Mashiach will come. So no matter what it is, and so therefore there had to be someone, as we're going to see in a moment, who is worthy to redeem the Jewish people if the redemption is called for at that moment. So in every generation, there is a Mashiach Shebedar. So the Rebbe says over here, the Nasi Hadar, you should know that Mashiach, we'll see in a moment, he says, is not some hidden tzaddik who no one knows, but that Mashiach of the generation, he's actually the Nasi of the generation. Rabeinu Nasi Hadar, Gama Mashiach, Ga'alan Shel Yisroel Shebedar of the generation. Kamoi Moshe Rabeinu, Nasi Arisha, just like Moshe Rabeinu. Moshe Rabeinu served two functions. He's the Nasi, he's the first leader of the Jewish people, that was the leader for all the Jewish people. But he was also the Mashiach of the Jewish people, because he took them out of Mitzrayim. So, even though throughout history no one repeats Moshe, what Moshe does, to be both the Nasi and the Mashiach, until actual Mashiach, but in every generation, whoever was the Moshe of the generation, which we know Moshe also exists in every generation, he is also the potential Mashiach of every generation, right? Goyal Rishonu Goyal Achron. Moshe Rabbeinu would say the first Redeemer is the latter Redeemer. Ki Yadua, as it is known, Shebechol, there in every generation, Yeshnoi Echad Aroyim Etzit Kasei. This is a quote from the Chassam Sofer, which we actually learned in the last time we were learning a different one of the Sichos. There is somebody who's Ra'i, who's fitting from his sitkis, from his righteousness, Li is Goyal, to be the Redeemer. And when it will come the time, Hashem himself will appear to him. He will send him. It makes sense to say, Shehu Nasi Hadar, he's the Nasi of the Dar. Meaning not to think that he's some hidden tzaddik that no one knows, a shoemaker somewhere. Like we have Lamed Vav Tzaddikim, no one knows. A guy was a water carrier and he was a Lamed Vav Tzaddik. Like, well, no. It says Mistaber Loimer that this Mashiach, potential Mashiach, is the leader of the generation. The Rebbe is not saying his own svaras. He's not saying his own. Everything is quoted. I mean, even though this whole entire kuntris, this whole thing, this whole booklet, is incredible chidushim, unbelievable, likes that. I mean, it's mind-boggling revelations over here, but at the same time, everything is footnoted, meaning everything has a makar. So the Rebbe says, "Kemafurish b'Gemara." The Gemara says it. Benegelu Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, regarding Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabeinu HaKadosh, the one who wrote the Mishnah. So Rav says, Rav is his student. Amar Rav. Rav said, Imen Chayahu, if he's from the living, Kegon Rabeinu HaKadosh. They were debating who's Mashiach. Is he going to be from the dead or is he going to be from the living? So Rav says, if he's from the living, it's our Rebbe, Rabeinu HaKadosh. Now why Rabeinu HaKadosh? Maybe he's a hidden tzaddik. So you see, no. It was mistaber to say that the Nasi of the generation, that was the Mashiach, if that was the call of the hour that Mashiach should come. And as he explains from Rashi, Mashiach ma'osin shachayin achshav, v'adai heinu Rabeinu HaKadosh. That's a quote from Rashi. Ha-Nasi Shebebavel, who is the Nasi of the generation. And the Rebbe adds in a footnote of 57, something really geschmack. Who is the one who pointed, who is the one that pointed out that Rebbe is the Nasi of the generation and he's the Mashiach? And he if he's from the living, it's him. The one who himself is later, after the passing of Rebbe, he becomes the Nasi of the generation, and he is the Mashiach of the generation. So he brings in order 57, Rabeinu Shebebavel. Rabeinu Shebebavel. Rebbe wasn't in Bavel. Rebbe was in Tzipori, was in Eretz Yisroel, in the Galil. Rav was the Rebbe in Bavel. Actually, when it says over here, the whole time, Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, that Rabbi Lazar said, it's Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, it was actually Rav's yeshiva, or Rav's shul. That's Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. So Rav is the one who says it. Shehu kamoy Rabeinu HaKadosh be'Eretz Yisrael. He's similar to Eretz Yisrael, like Rabeinu HaKadosh, like we said earlier. V'apizi yesh loimer. And the Rebbe derives from this. Shebedivrei Rav hainu Rabeinu HaKadosh. And when Rav says that Moshiach is Rabeinu HaKadosh, if it's going to be in our generation, it's Rabeinu HaKadosh. Pasek gam b'negei li'atzmoi. He's paskening it regarding himself as well. Hainu Rabeinu Shebebavel, Rabeinu Shebebavel. And he brings over here in the bottom note that that's the idea of din v'cheshbon, that when a person makes a psak regarding to someone else, it applies to themselves as well. Bear that in mind, that the Rebbe keeps on emphasizing that. Because when the Rebbe is going to be done in the Sikha later, the Rebbe is going to point very clearly to what Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is. Who is the Rabeinu? Who is the Nasi Ador? And the Rebbe is going to say clearly, it's the Friediger Rebbe. And he's going to keep on saying that. But here he says clearly that when someone is saying it about someone else, he's really referring to himself. Okay. Move on. Now, Ulahoyer. Now this idea, so let's not lose the main thought. The Rabeinu is not just a mentor and a guide and a teacher of the Jewish people during the exile, to keep them inspired Jewish during the exile. Rabeinu, his job, he's a potential Mashiach. That means it's not just a leader to watch over the Jewish people in the Galus, but also one that will, if it's the time, to bring Mashiach, to not just to bring Mashiach, to be Mashiach, and to redeem the Jewish people. Uleher. Now, what's the connection? Why Mashiach Dafka is the Nasi? So we said, like in every generation there's someone that could be Mashiach, and we said it's not a shoemaker, it's the Nasi Hadar. What's the Pnimius? Why the Pnimius is it that way? So he says, really, because the emesis goes back to what we were saying earlier. Why is the Shechina Shoreh in the Beis Hamikdash in the shul of the Nasi Hadar? Why? Because the Nasi, he's koil everybody inside of it. So the Rebbe says every single Jew, in order for Mashiach to come, every single Jew has a spark of Mashiach. And all Jews have to give their spark together. And when all of our little sparks of Mashiach, which is the Yechidah Shebenefesh of every Yid, comes together, it becomes, and that reveals the Mashiach HaKlali, who is the Yechida of all the Jewish people. So it makes sense, the Nasi Hadar, who's koil all the neshamas of the Jewish people, so he is koil all the Yechidas, of all the Yechid of the Jewish people, so therefore he's the Mashiach. That Lahoyer, in order 53, let's read it inside. Shekol echad ve'echad miYisrael yesh nitzitz Mashiach. Every single Jew has a spark of Mashiach. Which, by the way, based on this, we can reconcile to a drash of Chachamim. It says, Darach koichav miYaakov, a star will rise forth from Yaakov. Shekoy al melech HaMashiach. We know, Bilam is saying prophecy, a star will rise. Who's the star? Melech HaMashiach. So it says openly in Yerushalmi Tainus, besides in the Mefarshim and Chumash, but in Yerushalmi and Tainus, it says it's regarding Melech HaMashiach. V'koy al kol echad v'echad miYisrael. Now there's another Yerushalmi, a Meiser Sheni, where over there it darshans the same pasuk, Darach koichav miYaakov, on an individual Jew, on any single, or every Jew. So which one is it? And the answer is, both are true. Because every Yid has a nitzutz of Mashiach, of the greater Mashiach. Sheshneim emes bepoil, both of them are true in the literal sense. Not only divrei Elokim Chaim and some spiritual. Kivin shebechol echad ve'echad miYisrael yesh nitzutz Mashiach, has a nitzutz of Mashiach. This idea is brought from Sefer Ma'or Einayim from Reb Nachum of Chernobyl, Sefer Parshas Pinchas. Which is what B'chinas HaYechida, the nitzutz of Mashiach, that's your Yechida, mine and yours, and in every single Jew. Nitzutz B'chinas HaYechida HaKlalis, shehu Nishmas Mashiach, the nitzutz of the Yechida HaKlalis was Nishmas Mashiach. The Kivan Shahanasi Hu HaKol, since the Nasi is everybody. Shekoidel Kol HaNitzutzis to Mashiach, Shebechol Echad Ve'echad MiYisrael, who includes all the nitzutzis of every single Jew. B'chinas HaYechida HaPratis, the individual Yechida. Nimtza comes out, Shenishmasai hu b'chinas hayechida haklalis, that his neshama is the general yechida, nishmasai shel Mashiach. He is the neshama of Mashiach. L'cheinu HaMashiach shebedar. Now, but we don't know the poel mamish. We don't know if the time has come for all those sparks to suddenly reveal themselves. So we're not sure that he's actually going to be Mashiach, but he's the potential Mashiach in every generation. That's as we go through history. In our times, it's different. But as we go through history, the Mashiach of every the Nasi of every generation is also the potential Mashiach of that generation. Moving from this, we understand. We go back inside. She'ikar inyan shel Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, the main inyan of Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, who ha'geula mebavel is the redemption from Bavel. In other words, when we look at Beis Rabeinu, we say there's a headquarters. There's just like there's a Nasi, again. Just like when it comes to the Rebbe of the generation, the leader of the generation, he has two functions. He's there to lend a shoulder during the bitter time, not just a shoulder, his entire being, to support the Jewish people during exile. But really his true power and his true inyan is to stop the Golus and to change, and we should transition from, and then he becomes the Mashiach, he becomes the Goyal Yisroel, the Redeemer of the Jewish people. The same is about his house, that migdash that's with the Jewish people, that building, that structure, which is the main migdash, its main inyan is not that it's there as a supporter of the Jewish people during the time of we should have a little bit based on migdash, but that its main inyan as well is the geula of all the shuls, as we're going to see that in a moment, of all the shuls in the world, of all the shuls in the diaspora, and all the yeshivas in the diaspora, and really, via them, the geula of the entire world. So again, the geula from Bavel. Al Yadei, Anasinas Koyach Leklolis Avidasim Shel Yisroel, Lasis Mebavel Chutz Li'aretz Eretz Yisroel. Through the Nasinas Koyach, through empowering the Jewish people, avoid of the Yidden, to make from Bavel Eretz Yisroel. The Rebbe is saying something very deep over here, something very geschmack. See, one of the primary differences between the Geula from Mitzrayim and the future redemption. The Geula from Mitzrayim came in a manner is that we extracted the Shechina. The Shechina was with the Jewish people. In Golus Mitzrayim, it was an extraction. We had to extract sparks of holiness. We extracted the lashon that the pasuk uses, "Vayinatzlu es Mitzrayim," And what Rashi says, what that means is, we emptied Mitzrayim. We emptied Mitzrayim. So we emptied it out. We took the sparks. We took the Kedusha out. And Mitzrayim kind of lost its power. It became a non-entity. I mean, it was still, Egypt was still a kingdom, but it didn't have its ancient power that it had until the Jews went out. Because we took out its gold, its power, its strength, and so forth. Future redemption is not in a manner of extraction, but the future redemption is in a manner of sublimation. In other words, we take the entire Gauls, we sublimate the entire world. Why? Because what do we say? We say that when Mashiach will come, the entire earth is going to become Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. The Eretz Yisrael will be mispashet. Everywhere in the world will be redeemed. There'll be Gili Olokus in the entire world. So Eretz Yisrael, which has Gili Olokus now, and we know that life is different in Eretz Yisrael. It's just that miracles happen more often. Things are just amazing there. But Eretz Yisrael is going to become the entire world, and Yerushalayim is going to be Eretz Yisrael, and Beis Hamikdash is going to be Yerushalayim. So it's an expansion. But look at this amazing thing. What makes the entire world Eretz Yisrael? The avodah during the time of Galus. Primarily, which avodah during the time of Galus? Not just mitzvahs that we do during the land. The main thing is real estate. When we take chunks of real estate belonging to the non-Eretz Yisrael world, or belonging to the Chutz La'aretz, the non-holy land, and we make it holy land by purchasing it or building and making a shul, so that's an elevation of the actual place itself. The earth itself becomes holy. Chutz La'aretz becomes Eretz Yisrael, in as much as that's possible during now. Okay. Now we're the koyach for all these little batei migdash, which is basically batei migdashes that happen throughout the entire world. Where did we learn earlier? Where did all the batei migdashes, which only have a chelik of the Shechina, where do they get their koach from? They're plugging into the central location, which is the bias of the Nasi Hadar, which is the central location of the main Beis HaMikdash, and that empowers all the small batei migdash, all the shuls and all the yeshivas, for that conversion process. That means that Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, its main function is empowering the Jewish people in the diaspora to build yeshivas, schools across the entire world, mamish across the entire planet, and as a result of that, convert Eretz Yisrael. And it's not just converting that small little spot where the shul is, it's having an impact, we don't see it yet, on the entire neighborhood, every shul, on the entire neighborhood, on the radius. I guess it depends on how much holiness is in that shul, how much davening, the intensity, and so on and so forth. But this is what's really changing the land. And then the whole land, the whole world, comes out the main inyan of Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is the Geula of the entire world, turning it into Eretz Yisrael. And what happens automatically then? All these shuls are all connected to the source of holiness, which is Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, which becomes part of Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi. And then, as a result of that, let's think about it. Eretz Yisrael is holy because it had inside of it Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is holy because it had inside it the Beis HaMikdash. Beis HaMikdash is holy because the Eibishter dwells in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So the same is going to be when Mashiach will come. The Eibishter dwells in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, and through the Beis HaMikdash, Yerushalayim is holy. But in this case, to Yerushalayim, to the Beis HaMikdash is attached Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, which is where the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi comes down first, as we said earlier, is attached to it directly. And as a result of that, all Batei Knesiyos are all attached to the Beis HaMikdash, which means they receive their holiness, and they're the source of Kedusha for the entire rest of the world. And the whole rest of the world is Eretz Yisrael. It's amazing. Comes out, Kapiskama Yidu Aseikan and Bechutz Eretz Yisrael. She'inyan Zeh Nasa L'chol Erosh Al Yedei Binyan Batei Knesiyos. How do we make Aseikan Eretz Yisrael? How do we make Eretz Yisrael across the world? It happens, it's through building shuls in the lands that we come. And from them the holiness comes to all the lands of the nations. And through this we rush and we affect the fulfillment of that ultimate promise Asida Eretz Yisrael shetispashet b'chol haratzos. That Eretz Yisrael is going to expand in all the lands. The whole world will be in the madrega of Eretz Yisrael that's now. And Eretz Yisrael itself will be upgraded to the level of Yerushalayim. This is what it says, that Yerushalayim will expand on all of Eretz Yisrael, like it brings in Orah 62. Which in it, in that Yerushalayim, all the Bate Knesiyos and Bate Midrashas of Bavel will be attached to the Beis HaMikdash. So since the main function of this Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, of the leader of the generation's house of Bavel, who kibbutz v'asifas, it's not a place for Golus, for Jews to have a place to hang on to in Golus. It's really about gathering asifas kol bate knesiyos. That headquarters is its function is to achieve making everything Eretz Yisrael by gathering pieces of land from the entire world and converting it, and as a result of that, making everything holy. Kibbutz v'asifas kol bate knesiyos bate midrashos, gathering all the Shebebavel lekavim Eretz Yisrael, gathering all shuls of Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, which is imachubel Beis HaMikdash, attached to the Beis HaMikdash. Harehu, if that's its main function, it's not just the main Beis HaMikdash in Bavel, Shanas HaMikdash v'yashasham, that the Beis HaMikdash went there and dwelled there, Elegam makoim HaMikdash gufa d'liyasid. Comes out that this place, Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel, is the place of the future Beis HaMikdash mamish. As we said earlier, the future Beis HaMikdash will reveal itself first over there, and through there the whole world. Shebo yizgala HaMikdash t'la'asid, u'mesham yashiv Yerushalayim. From there will reveal the Beis HaMikdash, the future. From there it will return to Yerushalayim. Unbelievable. And if you take a look, what's so amazing is that he builds the case, structure by structure, everything built to Mamara Chazal, but the conclusion is just mind-blowing. Peas, and based on this, and by the way, he adds that it's not only shuls, but the way we make the whole world holy is by independent Jewish residences. When a Jew makes his home into a holy place, a place where there is Torah study, and a place where there is Gemilas Chasadim that is done, and a place that we get right, and tefillah, and so on and so forth, say Tehillim there, and whatever. And the women who don't go to shul all the time, or children, we say we daven, or we do little parts of davening, or brachas, and so on. All that we turn our individual homes also into a Beis HaMikdash, not in a Beis HaMikdash, into a Mikdash Ma'at, and that also affects the thing. I thought we're hearing already Shofar Shel Mashiach. Now, how does this apply to our generation? The Beis HaKnesses of the Friediger Rebbe, who was the leader of the generation. By first prefacing the teaching of the Friediger Rebbe, 10 Goliyos Lubavitch went. Lubavitch, from Lubavitch itself, Shaboy, Gili, Pnimius HaTorah, that's where Pnimius HaTorah was revealed. Kvishin is bar ba'ofen shel havana v'asaga, in a manner that we can appreciate and really understand it. Yisparnus, so that it becomes part of us. The Torah is Chassidus Chabad b'meshach kama doros, through the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Marash, and the Rebbe Rashab, not his entire Nesias, but so there was 4 generations, over 100 years of his galus of Pnimius HaTorah was in Lubavitch. From there it went Rostov to Rostov during the time of the First World War. Rostov Peterburg, and then by the Friediger Rebbe left Rostov, and before he was a couple of years before his arrest, and he went to Petersburg. When Peterburg goes on Latvia, then after the Friediger Rebbe was released from jail, he went to Latvia. And afterwards he moved moved forward to Poland. America, and then finally it came to America. America Gufa became a Makaimis, and in America itself and in various places. Adla Makem Akavua, the Beis means it didn't initially, the Friediger Rebbe didn't find immediately 770. Eastern Parkway. It made its way ad lamakom hakavod, the Beis Rabeinu, Beis Knesset, Beis Hameder Shaloi, HaMerkez Shel Lubavitch b'meshach 10 shanim, the Merkez of Lubavitch for 10 years, Tkufa Shlema, a complete Tkufa, and the last Tkufa, Ha'achroina, HaKalor L'chachar Achitum. Everything goes after him. Even though the Rebbe was in different places, his main stempel, his main stamp, his main power is in the last place where he was. The Kvod Kedushas Mordechai Admin Asidarenu B'chaim Chiyusa B'Yal Medain. During his time and when he was alive in this world. V'gam la'achri istalkusay. Even after his istalkus. Kedusha lo izazim ha'mekayma. Holiness does not depart from its place. V'hadar abba ba'oifen the malam b'koydish ma'isa v'hoylach. It only gets stronger. Ad bi is goyal tzedek until the coming of Mashiach. So this is what happened in Lubavitch's history. It moved and it came to that place. Now, wherever the Nasi is, the Rebbe is saying, since the Friedrich Rebbe is the Nasi. So just like the Friedrich Rebbe made that journey, well, the same journey happened also to the Shechina, because really it happened together with the Jewish people. Because the Jewish people also, just like the Friedrich Rebbe came to America, and the Jewish people also migrated to America. Most Jews, during that period, during that period, before the First World War, until after the Second World War, period of time, most Jews relocated, the greatest concentration of Jews, in the United States of America. But that is a B'nai goes to close B'nai Yisrael, Shebebavel, that now generation, and so Roiv Minyan, V'Roiv Binyan, the B'nai Yisrael, B'golos America. So most Jews are in America. We can say, now one of the reasons, Shagam Nasi Hadar, Shanasi Yuakol, one of the reasons why the Friedrich Rebbe, the Nasi of the generation, or the Rebbe, Chayv and Nimtza, no, I was talking about the Friedrich Rebbe still, Chayv and Nimtza Eser Shana B'golos America, is alive and lived 10 years in America. And from there, he was engaged and involved, spreading Torah and Yiddishkeit, and spreading the Maayonis Chutza, Chol Shara Rotzis, in all the other lands. So this became the headquarter, the nerve center of the Jewish people across the world. Through his Talmidim, through his Shluchim, across the planet. Now, since every place where the Jewish people are, the Shechina is also with them. So we have two things. The Nasi came to America. And why did he come to America? Because most Jews are in America, so he has to be with them. And since wherever the Yidden are, the Shechina goes along. So in our last phase of the exile, where most of the Jewish people, together with the Nasi Hadar in America, the Shechina also came down. Remember, America's a Golos. It's the Shechina is in Golos America. But Golos America Atzma, in the Golos of America itself, the Bavel Hecha, where is the Shechina? Migdash Ma'at the Beis Rabeinu. That in that shul of Beis Rabeinu, which is similar to those shuls that were in Bavel, where Ezra HaSofer was, or wherever the great tzaddik, the leaders were then. So in America, it's a Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. Shenas HaMigdash v'yashav sham. The Beis HaMikdash traveled there. In place of the Beis HaMikdash of Yerushalayim. Umimenu, see, things that till now, the Rebbe, Mamish, the last generation, Ramish, revealed everything. Things that, Chassidim would whisper to each other quietly in earlier generations is something that became something that the Rebbe himself is revealing. He's saying it. Umimenu is saying the main, where's the Shechina? In the house of Nasi Dareinu, in his shul. And from that place is where the Shechina is emanating. It's like you look at it like the sun and its rays are going to every shul, rays from the entire world, across the whole world. And maybe it doesn't say it, maybe even in Eretz Yisrael as well, because this is the headquarters of the Shechina. So even the holy shuls in Eretz Yisrael and all that, it's all deriving its energy from that headquarters. In Eyat Tamim, he brings 74, point you to Maayon. This is a statement, and I'm not sure I think it was from one of the early Chassidim. From the days that the Beis HaMikdash and the Kach HaKachim was destroyed, until the Eibush to Rachmanis and send us Goyal Tzedek, the Yivna Lanu is Yerushalayim or Beis HaMikdash ima Kach HaKadoshim, and he will build for us Yerushalayim, the Beis HaMikdash with the Kach HaKadoshim, and a Lubavitch Yerushalayim Shalanu. This is, I think, in the days of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Chassid was writing his experiences of what he felt and what he is. Lubavitch is our Yerushalayim. V'Beis HaKnesses, Asher Kvod Kedushas Admon Mispalel Boy, who Beis HaMikdash Alonu, that's our Beis HaMikdash. V'Yashleim HaHasbara B'zeh. What's the explanation? Now the Rebbe is adding a Hasbara why this is why Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel is the headquarters of Shechina, and why the Rebbe is going to explain why it's in America. Why? Okay, we know it's in America. That's a fact, because the Nasi is here, and the whole generation of here. But why is it in America? Why was America chosen to finish it off? So the Rebbe says simple. The Fisha B'Dor is because it's the last generation, Dor Achron Shel HaGolos. This is the last generation of Golos. And not like we said earlier, the Golos could have ended if you didn't do tshuva any other time, but that's if we did a special tshuva. But based on the system, this is the last generation of the Golos. The Dor Rishon Shel HaGeula, it's also the first generation of the redemption. We complete all of our work. What's our work in Golos? To make from the lands of the nations Eretz Yisrael, in where the entire world, which includes the lowest parts of the world, even the place that is the lowest amongst the lands of the nations. Which, even though we spoke to something unique about France, but there's, on another note, there's something considered very low in the lower half of the hemisphere, the lower half of the globe, that Har Sinai is not. Har Sinai is not on, or the Beis HaMikdash, that's not where, right? So it's the lower part of the world, not so impacted by Matan Torah, not so impacted by the Beis HaMikdash being in Yerushalayim. So which was not Matan Torah. So that's, by the way, a phrase from the Alter Rebbe when he says about America. By elevating the lowest place. Now, the point of here, it's not just that we will also elevate the lowest place. Mashiach's light has to get everywhere. God's light has to come everywhere, even to the lowest place. No, it's something deeper. In order to lift the ultimate elevation for the rest of the world, you have to lift the lowest, because when you lift the lowest, the whole thing is automatically lifted. We can actually lift up everywhere else, and he brings from the bottom over here. So sometimes you find, I don't know, if you go on the freeway, sometimes you'll see that they're carrying an entire house. A truck has an entire house. But to lift it up, you have to lift the house up from its very, very bottom. If you lift the house up from the middle of the wall, you're only going to get the upper half of the house, you're not going to get the bottom. The Beis Rabeinu, that's in the lower half of the world, from here light goes out to the entire world, to make the entire world. And it's saying practically, he's saying, you see that this is the headquarters, with our shluchim that go out to the entire world to bring Torah and mitzvahs and Yiddishkeit across the world, to the most forsaken corner in the very end, and to make it what? To make it Eretz Yisrael. Which is the idea that Eretz Yisrael will expand in all lands. Yerushalayim will expand in all of Eretz Yisrael. Which in it will, in that Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, will be in Yerushalayim, will be set all the shuls in the whole world, attached to the Beis HaMikdash. Through the Geula Amitis Vashlema, through Mashiach Tzedkenu, who is Nasi Hadoyer, Shehu HaMashiach Chayalan She Yisroel Shebedoyer, and right, and not just that, he is the Mashiach, and as he says earlier, he's the last generation of Golas, and he's in where V'oid V'gam Ze'ikar, Shehu HaNasi the Torah Chassidic, which, by the way, he's not just the Nasi where all the Jewish people can turn to, but he happens to be also the Nasi of Torah Chassidic, which Torah Chassidic is Pnimius HaTorah, which is Torah Shel Mashiach, which is Yechidah Sheb'Torah, which is because it's Yechidah Sheb'Torah, as he brings in the bottom, which Mashiach is Yechidah Sheb'Torah, Asher Idei Yafatzasa Chutza, through spreading it out, Yafutz Mesach Chutza, Ad LaChutza Shein Chutza, Man B'chol Katev Payal and Bias Malka Mashiach. We affect Bias Malka Mashiach. So that's why, now Pizeh, based on all of this, moving Goydel Eloi the Beis Rabeinu. We understand the unbelievable greatness of Beis Rabeinu. Migdash Ma'at. Ha'ikri B'Golos Ha'achar. This is the Migdash Ma'at, and the very last point of Golos. What's the Migdash Ma'at Ha'ikri? It's everywhere. But what's the main Migdash Ma'at? The Beis Rabeinu Shebebavel. Shenas HaMigdash V'yasher Sham. And the Rebbe is being very specific in where he's talking about. He's saying it's where Lubavitch headquarters ended up. Because he says that Friediger Rebbe is the Nasiya L'chein, Hareu Makam HaMikdash Gufa D'Liyasa. That's the place of the third Beis HaMikdash. V'loy oid elu shaboy. See, to say it's Makam HaMikdash Gufa D'Liyasa, there's a big chiddush as well, that they say this is the place. But in a sense, every shul has that mila, because ultimately every shul will be part of the Beis HaMikdash. But the ikar chiddush is V'loy oid elu shaboy Yizgala Mikdash HaAsid. The actual gilui of the Beis HaMikdash of the future is going to be Nizgala over there. When we sham yashav Yerushalayim, from there it's going to return to Yerushalayim. Keniskli elf sivdal. I thought I'm going to finish today, but I don't want to push it. So we're going to stop over here. We'll have one more share. I don't know. I think this speaks for itself. I think there's nothing more to say, and this is unbelievable. I think we shouldn't be shy to share this with the world. This was said. People have to decide if they believe the Lubavitcher Rebbe was a tzaddik, and a huge tzaddik, and didn't just say things. The Rebbe took the time to be magiya this, to print, not just say it, but he printed it, with all the hagos, with all the details, gave it to us. It's information that we need to know. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm Gimel Tammuz, and it's already so many years, and I will ask you the question. Today's days and age, 20 so years later, who has the operating system to reach Jews across the entire world and to inspire Yiddishkeit across the globe? Who? I haven't seen any other substitute tzaddik that has established a network to get to every single Jew across the entire world. Torah and mitzvahs and Yiddishkeit. I haven't seen that. Tzad Sheni, in last week's parsha, look it up, Rabeinu B'chaya, and in other places, but let me first point to Rabeinu B'chaya last week. I think Ramban also last week says that our redemption in the days of Mashiach are going to be exactly like it happened the first time. And the first time their Mashiach, Moshe Rabbeinu, came and revealed himself to the Jewish people, and then he was hidden for a period of time. He left them, and they were just in a state of dismiss, in a state of pain and misery, and angry at actually Moshe. And many Jews were angry at him, felt that he's ruining things for them. They weren't with him. You see how they yelled Dasan and Aviram, but actually he conveyed the sentiment of many people, right? And it was dark. He says exactly like that is going to be in the future redemption, that Mashiach is going to come, reveal himself to the Jewish people, and then be hidden from them. What does hiding mean? Does hiding mean the Gimel Tammuz is, can that be included? I don't see why not. Problem you're going to say is that was just maybe for 6 months, or I don't know how long Moshe was away. I think it was like for 6 months. And now it's already so many years. Well, we have to realize that the Galus of Mitzrayim and the Geula of Mitzrayim was, on the one hand, the Galus and the Geula concentrate, but on the other hand, everything was very small. It was only 210 years. Our Geula now is 2,000. Came after a Galus of 2,000, close to 2,000 years. So it's 10 times the amount. And I know the length of time is more than 10 times, but it's not measured exactly by that, but you realize that. And the other thing is to consider is that the Geula is going to be so much greater than that. The Geula is going to be the redemption of the entire world, forever. So as a result of that, the fact that Mashiach gets hidden, and there is a Rashi, and I shared with you Rashi and Daniel, where Rashi says that the Zman of Mashiach being hidden is much longer than the time of since Gimel Tammuz. Check it out. Again, I don't like to say it because I don't want Chas v'Shalom give that possibility. But Rashi says in the second to the last pasuk on the words Ashrei HaMachake, Rashi says, how long will it take? But I think, let me put it this way. Let's not be shy anymore. Let's just say it. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said about himself that he's Mashiach. If people doubt whether the Rebbe said that he's Mashiach, read this sikha. I'm reading with you many sikhas, but this sikha says it. Says it clearly. I'm telling you, I'm perfectly fine believing b'munah shalema, especially when we have. And again, it's not like his operation fell apart. The operation only got stronger. If you think about how many shluchim were there during the Rebbe before Gimel Tammuz, and now after Gimel Tammuz, how many shluchim there are, how powerful this organization is, continuing this amazing work of reaching every Jew, transforming the world, and so on and so forth. It's unbelievable. So, what do we have? We have a concealment. We have a darkness. Izvas. So, let me put it this way. If the Rebbe walked into 770 right now, tonight, and the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi came down tonight in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, would it have made sense that it was him all along and that there is this concealment? And yeah, of course, everybody will say, obviously it's the drama of the coming of Mashiach. So the fact that it didn't happen yet doesn't, because if it happened today, even if it happened next week, or even happened in a year, chas v'shalom, or in 10 years from now, it's still not. So after we have the nevuah, that we're already, that we gave a nevuah, that we're Yezman Gulascham, time the redemption is around. The Rebbe, we're going to learn in other sichas where he says clearly that Mashiach was already revealed. He's already revealed. He was already revealed in the world. He's already began his shlichus of Shlach Naviyat Tishlach. There's so many. He's already impacting the entire world. We're going to learn another sikh after we finish this. Parshas Mishpatim sikh. Unbelievable. And then it's like everything is said here openly. It's hard for us to talk and hard to say it because this is the main nakuda for what the world was created for. This is the main thing. And is the Satan not going to fight it? Of course he's going to fight it. Are there going to be scoffers that are going to laugh at people like me who are saying things like this? Or people who believe every word and are not in shadow of a doubt of the word of a Navi? Okay. So if there's laughter, there's laughter. So what is that? I mean, it's to be expected. It's okay. As Hashem, the Eibishter is going to open up the eyes of all the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are going to merit the complete redemption. Simcha b'tzahalav as Hashem b'karav mamish. Unbelievable. Only thing is that those who knew this are going to bear a little responsibility for not have shared it. Not to share it, I just want to say one more thing. To share it depends on how you share it. Just to go scream about it, the point of sharing it is that it should be received and accepted. So if it's not, so I think the right way of sharing about it is exactly the way I'm doing it. I'm actually learning it from inside. I'm learning all the sources and the build up, and it makes sense. Unless you're a hater, you just dislike and whatever. Okay, I'm not going to change your mind. But if you're not a hater, you just you want to know. You believe the Lubavitcher Rebbe is a tzaddik kadosh v'neira, like the world hasn't seen, who's in every aspect, whether kol ha'torah kula, whether Poel Yeshua, miracles like that, not normal, proved prophecy throughout his entire Nesias in a way that everything he said came true, and all aspects of leadership for the Jewish people. He used a clear voice in every subject, and every, like an unbelievable way. And the Nasi of Chassidus, and teaches Pnimiyas HaTorah. And what's the virtue of not believing? Parshas Ve'era, it says this week in the Parsha, V'lo shamu al Moshe. The message didn't go through then either. V'lo shamu al Moshe. Koitzer Ruach, what's the Koitzer Ruach now? Then Koitzer Ruach, Mavoid Kasha means that we were so beaten. We were so brutally beaten again and again and again and again, that we were shortness of breath. We didn't have ears to hear the redemption. In our Golos, it's because now, Baruch Hashem, Yidden are living a pretty wonderful life. It was never so good for the Jewish people in exile like it is now. The Rebbe speaks about that as well. And that too is part of Mashiach's work. But we've been so disillusioned. We've had so many false attempts at Mashiach that it's like the sad story of the boy crying wolf. And finally, when the wolf comes, the real wolf, no one believed him. So that's, should I say, the Eibishter's fault? So many generations giving us false hopes. So when it finally comes and it happens, those that are being honest and saying what it says and this and that are dismissed. Okay, shouldn't be that way. This is the emes. This is the absolute emes. This is the absolute emes. The biggest proof that I believe is the emes is the fact that I'm not shying away from saying this publicly. I know it's on YouTube, and I know everybody can watch it. It's the emes. Time has come for emes to be said. May we all dance together. All those that are questioning what I'm saying, or maybe laughing at what I'm saying, and so on, let's all dance together when Mashiach will come. With tremendous joy. Tremendous happiness. We zeichen to that great day. Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi b'meira b'yameinu. Now.